sometimes in the evening I'm walking here in the bridge, on the bridge, together with my nice friends. And that's the reason I have inspiration here, because as you can see, here we still have a natural zone. Nice mountains. Here we have the river. Lot of water. Some bridges, so that people can cross the river from one place to another one. This is a very nice place, as you can see. And so walking some hours here, then I obtain the necessary inspiration to write my books.
Years ago, I looked around in the Ricote Valley for Alquerque-12 drawings. The Ricote Valley has always been a chance for me to relax, unwind and escape the stress for everyday life. The pressures of commuting and family obligations mean many of us live life in a constant hurry, resorting to fast food before collapsing in front of the television in the evening. However, for my research, I feel the need to escape and get away from it all at times. The Ricote Valley has become a part of my life, where I have the freedom to slow down, get away from technology overload, and take real pleasure from the basics of life. However, during years, I was not successful with my research in the Ricote Valley. This situation that lasted several years changed suddenly when I met the archaeologist Joaquín Salmeron, director of the Museum Siyasa at Cieza of the province of Murcia in Spain. Cieza is located only 5 kilometers from the Ricote Valley. With great enthusiasm, Mr. Salmeron showed my proud the different Alquerque boards that they had found in the Moorish settlement, known as Cieza of the 13th century. Among them quickly found 2 Alquerque-12 drawings. That day I felt myself the luckiest man of Spain, because suddenly all my research efforts were rewarded with the desired results. The Alquerque-12 game is the precursor of the checkers game that is called in Spanish the Juego de las Damas. I have already studied for many years the history of the checkers game, that I consider it being a Spanish invention around 1495, precisely in the town of Valencia. Apart from that, I consider it since 1987 that the new powerful dama, in French called dame, in the game of chess and checkers was nothing else than a representation of Isabel of Castile, also called Isabel la Católica, on the chess and checkers board. Today most historians agree to that. Seeing that the first Spanish checkers book was printed in 1547 in Valencia, and the first French checkers book in 1668, I cannot believe in a French invention of the checkers game. Therefore, I have tried to investigate the archaeological findings of the Alquerque-12 game in France and Spain, because I do not believe that the Alquerque-12 game was very popular in France before the 15th century. In this book, you will now find the result of my work with regard to Spain and France. The Alquerque-12 drawings were found in 98 places of Spain, whereas the result in France were only 10 drawings. With other words, the game was not very popular at all in France. The description of the game of Alquerque-12 still is in an awful situation, because we have many Alquerque types and each game has its own history. King Alfonso the Wise did already let us know in 1283 that there were the Alquerque-13, Alquerque-9 and the Alquerque-12 claims. Therefore, the historical explication of the Alquerque-12 claim cannot be given on a general way. However, we constantly see archaeologists and historians giving in publication a general description in which they include the Alquerque-12 claim. So we see the origin of the claim of Alquerque possibly dates back to the Bronze Age. Features known as tiaras have been found engraved on rocks in the Alpine region, especially near the Lake of Garda. In ancient Egypt we find boards drawn on stone blocks that form the roof of the Temple of Kurna in the city of Luxor, dated to about 1400 before Christ. As from the historical period they appear on the Galician rocks such as Maya or Bayona, and from the Roman world we know the exemplars of Mulva in Sevilla are probably of the Roman time. Others state that it is thought to have originated in the Middle East. So expert literature think that the Alquerque-12 claim is coming from the ancient Egypt and Roman world. Other historians try to convince us that the claim was extremely popular in France, much more than in Spain. Basing themselves on etymology, historians are even there to assert that the present checkers claim developed in France and that it came there from the Alquerque-12 claim. So in the internet we see, for example, the following statement. Alquerque had been played in ancient Egypt more than 3000 years ago, and it was brought to Europe in the 8th century by more warriors. This game was an inspiration for temporary and very popular around the world checkers. Who is the person who is responsible partially for this nice story? This is nobody else than the famous board game specialist Harold James Ruthven Murray, who lived between 1869 and 1955. In 1952 Murray published a history of board games other than chess, proposing the theory that Alquerque-12 originated in Egypt and the checkers came in France. Since his famous book about the history of chess in 1930, everybody believed what the great board specialist Murray was saying, because he was and could continue being one of the greatest board game specialists. Many historians believe that Murray is infallible, but this idea will only paralyze future work of others. Being aware of the fact that till now there still exists some confusion about the Alquerque-12 game, I have concentrated myself this time on the history of this board game. Again we see that Spain has an important history of this game too. For that reason I try to explain in my book about the history of the Alquerque-12 game, together with notes on the checkers game, in order to refute Murray. It is quite clear that there are still some historians who do not believe in Isabel of Castile. I am quite sure that the same will happen with my history of the Alquerque-12 game. On the other hand, I am also pretty sure that there will be other historians who will improve my point of view, and that in the future I will receive the same fate as Murray. However, this is the outcome of research, where we all are interested in seeing on the end the full truth. The Spanish history of the Alquerque-12 game is so important that it is worthwhile to have some books written about this game. Therefore I hope that my book will provide a great confusion about the historian of checkers. At the same time I hope that Spanish archaeologists will template with other eyes this game. When reading this book it will appear to the reader that the Alquerque-12 game is not exceptionally old. Till now historians did not write exclusively about the Alquerque-12 game. With other words, this first volume will be the first book in the world dedicated solely to this game. In another volume I will deal about other countries where players use this game. Finally, a third volume will be only about the historical text of Alquerque-12. The writing of this type of books is only possible if people are prepared to collaborate. In all these years I was lucky to get full collaboration of more than 100 persons, among the many Spanish archaeologists and photographers. Even a pilot helped me in giving photographs of very small villages. A word of thanks to all of them. I hope I do not forget any of them in the list I prepared at the end of this book.